Insurance fraud in the UK costs more than £1.2 billion a year. That's more than £3 million a day. Deliberate crashes, bogus personal injuries, even phantom pets. The fraudsters are risking more and more to make a quick killing, and every year it's adding more than £50 to your insurance bill. But insurers are fighting back, exposing a fraudulent claim every 5 minutes. Armed with the latest fraud-busting technology, including covert surveillance systems, sophisticated data analysis techniques, and specially trained fraud investigators, they're catching these chancers red-handed. Instead of getting away with it, more and more of these fraudsters are being caught out and claimed and shamed. Here on Claimed and Shamed, we've seen countless bogus insurance claims that have made our toes curl, with some particularly notorious cases standing out. This could be down to the sheer financial scale of the fraud involved, or because of the downright cheek of the claimants. Today, we've dug deep into the archives to bring you some of our most shocking stories. Coming up, the men who made millions deliberately causing car accidents, endangering innocent lives.
Over 500 induced collisions were identified, and the value of the claims at risk was estimated to be £8.8 million.
A victim who claimed an accident had left him terrified of heights finds himself in deep water.
Did not seem to be anxious or afraid. In fact, he seemed very excited to be at the top of that water slide.
And busted. The con man whose £250,000 injury claim is exposed as a fake.
We had surveillance of the claimant working and also leaving the house. And these were two of the key facts that he confirmed he couldn't do within his claim for damages.
But first, one of the most outlandish cases we've featured on Claimed and Shamed. This is the story of a shameless man who'd already made fraudulent claims for tens of thousands of pounds by the time investigators caught up with him. His MO? Faked identities, forged IDs, and fictitious fires. A claim came into insurer Zurich that, at the outset, seemed to be genuine.
We insured an individual who wanted to make a claim for a chip pan fire that had occurred at his property. The insured was in his 60s. He lived alone in a council house.
It happened after midnight, around 12 it must have been. I'd fallen asleep, I had, on the armchair. And all of a sudden I was awoken by some crackling sounds. I opened the door where the kitchen is and could see the flame going up the wall.
Okay.
I immediately started, I could fight my way through the smoke. There was heavy smoke. But fortunately, the kitchen window was wide open, so most of it was actually going through there.
Oh, okay.
Which helped it a lot.
Yeah.
But there was heat, substantial heat feeling.
Okay.
Thankfully, the claimant took swift action.
I threw a cold towel over it and stopped it.
Okay.
I put the fire out.
Did you call the fire brigade at all?
A neighbour.
The neighbour called them, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They called an ambulance for me, and I was taken away to hospital.
Oh, right.
Because I breathed in smoke, and my lungs were wheezing a bit.
Oh, right, okay. But are you okay now?
Yes.
Okay, that's
I stayed in hospital overnight, and I was let out yesterday morning.
Okay.
It sounded like a lucky escape for him, if not for his possessions.
He advised that various white goods had been damaged, such as his fridge, kettle and chip pan, as well as having knocked over a TV in his haste to extinguish the fire. The value of the claim was just over £4,000.
Every day in the UK, 20 people are killed or injured in fires, and deep fat fryers are one of the most common causes of kitchen fires.
Fire claims are not uncommon in our industry, so this would have looked like a genuine claim from the outset.
It would have, had the conversation not taken a peculiar turn.
We need to talk about the something else, a separate claim, I think it is. What's happened is when I've left the house, my jacket is on fire. And I've lost the jacket and there was a ring inside it. My ring was inside the pocket.
Right, okay.
What happened was, when I ran outside, the jacket was burning and I took it off. I sat in a paramedic's car, had my blood pressure taken, then an ambulance came and took me away. Now, I checked with the hospital and they say I didn't have the jacket on when I went into the hospital.
Right, okay.
I believe that I most probably left it outside on the green, outside the house.
Yeah, someone's picked it up.
Somebody's picked it up and they may have thrown it into a dustbin.
What started as a straightforward claim was getting complicated. $5.5 grand more complicated.
The addition of the ring, which was specified on the policy at £5,500, and the policy had only been taken out a month before the claim was presented.
How long have you lived here for, roughly?
I've only just moved in a month ago.
Okay. And in the last 5 years, have you had any previous claims on your home insurance at all?
No.
No, that's fine.
Before the claim could be settled, the man was back on the phone with some unfortunate news.
3 months later, the insured decided to contact us to report a further claim for another fire that had occurred at his property.
And this fire had damaged a surprising item.
So what they said is you were washing your wig, you'd hung it up to dry in the kitchen, and it had fallen and landed on the cooker and then obviously caught fire. Long story short, is that what happened, yeah?
Yeah. No, it's been syringed, seriously syringed.
Okay.
The damaged wig was top of the range.
And is the wig itself, is it sort of synthetic hair or real hair?
It's real.
Real hair, but it was a nice smell as well, wasn't there?
It is stinking.
Okay, not to worry. And just how long roughly would you say you've had the wig for?
About 4 months.
And so it is noted down, you don't know sort of roughly how much it is?
They're selling at £845.
Okay.
I've worked in insurance for quite some time and never seen a claim for a wig before.
So just a couple of details with regards to the incident. What was it hanging on? Was it a specific sort of like a peg or a cupboard hanger?
door.
It was a cupboard door, brilliant. And it just fell off, really. Yeah, were you in the room when it happened, or?
Yes, I was in the room. I was painting a wall.
Okay.
And clobbered into the wall and hit it off. I didn't realise that I'd knocked it off there.
Okay. And the cooker was on at the time, was it?
Yes, the hob.
The entire claim, including that very pricey wig, was for more than £10,000, and the insurers needed to find out whether this claimant was telling the truth.
We decided to conduct a full claims search. This revealed 10 additional claims.
However, the man was sticking to the story that he'd never made a claim before.
And in the last 5 years, have you had any previous claims on your home insurance at all?
No.
They were all in different names, but strangely enough, they were all for fire damage that had occurred at the address.
Before confronting the claimant, Howard decided to ramp up his inquiries.
Our next steps were to appoint a claims investigator to attend the insured's property.
What the investigator found was suspicious.
The investigator, upon entering the property, noted the damage caused by the fire appeared to be historic, not fresh damage at all.
The claimant provided proof of identity.
The insured provided us with a copy of his driving licence, which the investigator believed to be a fraudulent copy.
If that was fake, what else had he been faking?
The investigator made inquiries with the police and the fire brigade. However, they both confirmed that neither had attended the property on the date in question.
Challenged about his version of events, the claimant changed his story.
He stated that as he had extinguished the fire brigade didn't actually attend the property. He also additionally stated that he had taken himself to hospital and didn't actually go in an ambulance as he advised initially.
So he'd been lying about the aftermath of the fire. And what about his claims that he'd only lived in the house for a month?
We also contacted the local authority who owned the property, and they confirmed that there had only ever been one resident at this address who had lived at the property since 1972. They also confirmed that in 2007, there was a previous chip pan fire.
Could that be the historic fire damage the investigator had noticed? At this point, Howard's team took decisive action.
Because the insured had actually obtained money from previous insurers, we decided to pass his details to the Insurance Fraud Bureau in order to take criminal action.
The claimant eventually came clean and admitted that he'd attempted to defraud his insurers. He also said that he'd lied about more than just the claims.
He eventually admitted to the police that he had been using 4 alternative names, none of which were his own.
His real name turned out to be William James.
He went to great lengths to conceal his identity, even going so far as to change his name several times by deed poll. In total, he claimed £61,000 from his insurers, receiving £21,000 in payouts.
The game was up for this serial fraudster.
He was found guilty of 11 counts of fraud by misrepresentation and was sentenced to 16 months in prison.
After 11 false claims in as many years, it took a team effort to bring William James to justice.
This is a good example of insurers sort of coming together, sharing information in order to attain a favourable outcome in this instance.
Next, a case involving a couple of particularly callous professional fraudsters. Not only was the complexity and sheer scale of their deceit jaw-dropping, but this duo thought nothing of putting innocent people's lives at risk just to get a payout. Statistically, our roads are safer than ever, but that doesn't make drivers immune from minor bumps or even major crashes. Being involved in one can be extremely traumatic, so imagine finding out that someone deliberately caused the accident and that they did it for money. This scam is called Crash for Cash, and the insurance industry is fighting hard to stamp it out.
Crash for cash is extremely dangerous. Individuals can be injured. In some cases, crash for cash has actually led to fatalities.
The Insurance Fraud Bureau works with insurers and police to detect and disrupt organised fraud networks.
The IFB has access to data and intelligence that will allow us to identify those that are engaged in this organised insurance fraud.
And a few years back, this shared intelligence brought a significant case to light. And it was all kick-started by several policyholders reporting rear-end shunts they'd been involved with.
The customers were reporting that the behaviour of the person they'd crashed into appeared odd, their driving was erratic. They also referenced similar locations, often mini roundabouts in the town of Slough. They also described similar individuals involved in the accidents.
The IFB started looking into it and noticed that at the scene of several of these accidents, the driver was handing out what could only be described as pre-written pieces of paper to whoever they'd crashed into.
They would contain the details, the name of the person driving the vehicle and their address and a contact number.
It was certainly unusual, as normally details would be exchanged there and then. But one of these crib sheets started to highlight that something was amiss.
2 apparently entirely separate accidents involving different individuals appeared to share the same mobile telephone number.
Which, to the IFB, could only mean one thing.
In essence, what the fraudster is doing is he's presenting an alternative identity, so he needs the crib sheet in order to remember who he's pretending to be.
Something else also came to light with 2 separate claims involving 2 separate claimants.
Customers had photographed the driver of the vehicle and that appeared to be the same individual.
The IFB was sure it was dealing with organised criminals.
The fraudsters were covering their tracks by using false identities, either stolen or completely fake.
But to what extent had they been scamming the system? Stephen delved into the databases to access all the information and analysed the policy activity from the entire insurance industry network. It was starting to paint quite a picture.
We identified 13 cases that were linked. We were able to contact other insurers who had those linked cases, and that allowed us to start to build further links and develop the network beyond those original 13 cases. The number of linked cases grew significantly into the hundreds, and we realised that this was a really significant organised crash for cash scam that could potentially get much, much larger.
The IFB also discovered the lengths these crooks were going to.
Insurers have the option to inspect the vehicles that had been involved in the crashes. What the fraudsters did is they immediately took the vehicles to scrap yards and had them scrapped so they weren't available to be inspected by the insurers.
Not only were they destroying evidence, but when they were asked to provide proof that the vehicles no longer existed, the scammers sent in scrappage certificates.
But these had been tampered with. We decided to refer the matter to the police.
On the strength of the IFB's information, the police contacted the scrapyards.
80 vehicles were scrapped at one particular scrapyard, and they decided to visit that scrapyard. The police visit proved to be the key to unlock the entire case. The scrapyard owner was able to provide CCTV images of an individual who was presenting the vehicles for scrapping. In addition to this, accounts linked to the sale of the scrapped vehicles led back to another individual's bank account.
2 people, one seen in the CCTV, the second named on a bank account that was linked to the sale of the scrapped vehicles.
This was a significant moment in the case. The police identified 2 individuals, Booter Ram and his nephew, Gang and Deep. They'd also identified an address that links the 2 individuals together.
And then something fortuitous happened.
An additional piece of intelligence arrived from a Rhodes police officer. Booter Ram had been seen driving an uninsured vehicle by a police officer. He was followed back to his property where he was confronted with the fact that he'd been driving an uninsured vehicle. He denied that he'd been driving the vehicle and pointed to another vehicle on the premises, claiming that was his car. That vehicle, as it transpired, was linked to one of our key suspicious crash for cash accidents.
This additional piece of the puzzle, along with all the information they had gathered, led to a search warrant being issued.
The police searched the premises and the grounds, which included a number of vehicles. In one of the vehicles, they identified large numbers of fraudulently obtained driving licenses in false identities and stolen identities. They identified passports, they identified V5 logbook documents, and they also identified tick lists which appeared to be tracking which claim related to which vehicle and which identity, something that the fraudsters clearly needed in order to stay on top of who was who in what particular case.
On entering the property, police also seized a laptop which they believed belonged to Booter Ram, something he firmly denied.
As a result of forensic examination, it was identified that it was indeed his laptop because the password used was his name, Booter Ram, and a photograph of him using the laptop was found in the laptop.
But it was what else was on the laptop that was completely damning.
They identified over 20,000 electronic files containing various pieces of information that related to insurance claims or insurance policy applications. They identified multiple identities, copies of passports, copies of insurance documents.
The files exposed the scale of the fraud.
over 500 induced collisions, and the value of the claims at risk was estimated to be £8.8 million. The number of crashes was significant, one of the largest organised networks that we've seen, and these were all induced accidents with innocent road users. This perhaps demonstrates the callous nature of Booterang and Gang and Deep, in that they were only interested in making money.
Both men were arrested in light of the new evidence, which suggested they'd caused more than 500 induced collisions. Stephen and his team at the IFB helped prepare a case against them. The trial was heard at Reading Crown Court and lasted 4 weeks, with the uncle and nephew duo facing charges of conspiracy to commit fraud.
They denied all of the charges, despite the overwhelming evidence. However, both were found guilty. Gang and Deep was sentenced to 3 years, and Booterang was sentenced to 9 years.
And if that didn't drive the message home that fraud is a serious crime, in addition to the 9 years, Booterang was sentenced to another 6 for being in possession of articles he'd used for the fraud.
This was a really good example of a collaborative effort between the insurance industry and the police to bring these two organised fraudsters to justice in what was one of the most significant cases of organised crash for cash that the IFB have ever dealt with.
Later, a customer loses his cool when he doesn't get the payout he's after.
So you're going to get away with it? No chance at all. Companies like you trying to wiggle out of something and then we're not going to pay anything. Can't be me off now.
If you continue to swear, I will disconnect the call.
With around 85% of us Brits on social media, it's no wonder we come across so many cases here on Claimed and Shamed involving claimants whose lies have been exposed by posts they themselves have shared online. This next case is one of the most dramatic examples we've seen of how pictures posted on social media expose a claim as a complete lie. Following a garden mishap, a claim made by a social media-loving gym owner landed on Jodie Baxter's desk at Aviva.
The claimant had instructed a firm to install a koi carp pond in his garden. So we insured the company and they had a comprehensive policy to cover their vehicles and employer liability and public liability.
The pond company was glad of that cover when the gym owner had a rather bizarre accident.
The claimant had gone out to inspect the works that were being completed when an employee of the company leant on the controls. He was struck by a digger and fell into the pond.
This unexpected dive knocked the claimant for 6.
The injuries that the claimant alleged were to his neck and to his back, and there were some psychological injuries following the incident as well.
Jodie and her team wanted to find out more.
The client had alleged that he had anxiety following the incident around heights, so that seemed a little bit unusual to us, considering that the pond was no more than 4 foot deep. 4 foot is not a great height to be having anxiety following that.
The accident had also, supposedly, a devastating impact on this gym owner's fitness regime.
The claimant told us that following the incident, he was also unable to lift weights, which was a massive part of his life as a bodybuilder.
He was claiming for more than £40,000.
£40,000 is high, considering the claimant did not seem to have severe injuries and had only fallen 4 feet.
Despite the claim, if his online posts were anything to go by, he was still able to enjoy his normal activities.
The legal representatives found social media evidence, a wealth of evidence, which suggests that the customer was leading a normal life and continuing to do day-to-day activities that he had told us he was unable to do. Some of the social media evidence that we had seen showed that the customer was still also lifting enormous weights.
His injuries didn't stop him going on holiday to Spain either. And his fear of heights following the fall into the pond proved to be no barrier to a much higher drop into a pool of water.
The claimant, whilst at the top of Europe's largest capsule water slide, did not seem to be anxious or afraid. In fact, he seemed very excited to be at the top of that water slide.
The social media evidence Jodie had uncovered undermined the man's physical and psychological injury claims. So 4 months after his Spanish trip, Jodie arranged for the claimant to attend a medical.
The psychological examination showed that the customer had developed a fear of heights following the incident. He suggested he was unable to walk up a ladder following falling in the pond.
No mention of his holiday waterslide during that meeting. And no mention of his recent gym visit at his physical exam either.
On the day of medical examination, the claimant had posted that he was in the gym lifting very large weights, when in his medical reports he had suggested he was unable to lift any large weights. I think it would be difficult to lift those weights without any injuries, let alone with. So I find it quite irritating to see the customer posting such posts.
These posts proved pivotal when putting together a court case.
Social media is very useful to investigate claims such as these. When we have concerns, social media is public available information, so it helps us either validate the claim or proves our concerns. It's hard evidence to be able to use in court to prove that the customer was not as injured as he said he was.
The evidence they'd gathered pointed to an open and shut case. But when investigators told the gym owner what they knew, he still thought he had a fighting chance.
I was very surprised that the claimant allowed this to go all the way to trial and was happy to stand in court considering the evidence that we presented.
At the trial, there was only one possible outcome once the judge had seen the social media evidence.
The court concluded that the claimant had not been straight with insurers and should have walked away from his claim. The court found the claimant to be fundamentally dishonest and the claimant was ordered to pay back legal costs.
That totalled a cool £14,000. Jodie hopes this outcome will act as a deterrent for anyone else thinking of following in his footsteps.
My message to people trying to exaggerate injury claims to make a quick buck would be to consider the consequences of insurance fraud. It can prevent you gaining access to insurance in the future and can also come with legal consequences. We take it very seriously.
This next claim was a big one. An employee seeking compensation of more than £250,000 following an accident at work. But as we know on Claimed and Shamed, when the stakes are this high, investigators will pull out all the stops to find out whether the case is genuine or, as in our next case, whether it's a web of lies. Slips, trips and falls are commonplace. There are laws to protect workers and companies have insurance in place to cover any incidents. But there are some employees who experience a genuine injury but exaggerate it to such an extent that they shoot themselves in the foot. One such claim landed on the desk of Tom Wilson at AXA.
We insure a furniture shop, and in January 2013, a claim was received from an employee of our customer who alleged that he was asked to lift a large tabletop weighing 80 to 90 kilograms, and he damaged his back as a result.
The employee said that this injury irritated a previous problem he had with a prolapsed disc in his back, making it worse.
This was a pretty significant value claim. He was claiming $248,000 special damages plus $20,000 for general damages.
It appeared that the employee was really suffering. He was not able to work at all, he wasn't earning, and he claimed he was housebound.
So with this particular case, our customer obviously accepted responsibility, but there were question marks over the veracity of the claim and the claimant's credibility, which led us to investigate the matter further.
AXA's instincts about the high amount being claimed and the reliability of the claimant proved to be spot on.
During the course of the validation process, we received intelligence to suggest that the claimant was actually working for another business, and he's clearly confirmed to us that he was unable to work as a result of the injuries he sustained whilst employed by our customer. Given the significant value of this claim and the potential for it to perhaps rise further, we decided to instruct surveillance on this gentleman.
Secret filming would determine what the man was realistically capable of doing, and it proved very revealing.
We had surveillance of the claimant working and also leaving the house. And these were two of the key facts that he confirmed he couldn't do within his claim for damages.
That's subject out to subject vehicle over to driver's side. Driver's door open, subject in as driver.
It transpired that the claimant was very selective about when he used his crutches. On visits to the hospital, for example, they came out. Perhaps he wanted medical professionals to see him struggling. But just 1 hour later, it's a different matter, as he stops for petrol.
Towards the exit of the garage. Subject now towards subject vehicle.
The crutches are no longer necessary.
In as driver. Subject vehicle now towards the exit. And goes left on the original.
But for another appointment, they're back, as a friend hands them to him as he gets out of a taxi.
It's the subject now out the vehicle, placing on a jacket.
We instructed the AC Beechcroft to assist with this investigation as they're one of our legal partners and they have significant expertise in this area of fraud.
We felt that the case was very strong and the evidence was compelling. We had worked very hard with AXA to put the case in a position where we were able to successfully defend the claim.
So the matter proceeded to trial, and during the course of that trial, the evidence was submitted and our submissions were made to the court.
The claimant's solicitors then applied to the court to remove themselves from the case.
This was done following our application to amend the defence to plead that his claim was fundamentally dishonest.
Subject now towards.
The proceedings continued and he was supposed to comply with a number of court orders and court directions and take part in his claim. He didn't do that.
We decided to push the matter forward and request contempt of court proceedings against the claimant, which the court accepted.
The claimant hadn't managed to give the court what had been requested, and his unreliability persisted.
He was supposed to provide witness evidence, he was supposed to attend the hearing, and he didn't do anything.
By not showing up, it just showed a clear disregard for the judicial system and the legal process, and it was evident that the judge looked unkindly upon that.
Ammar Masood's lies and lack of respect for the legal process did him no favours.
He received a contempt of court finding against him, which sentenced him to 16 months in prison, which is one of the longest sentences achieved for a contempt of court finding, where the maximum sentence is 2 years and a fine. The result of this claim was very significant in that we were able to reject a very high value claim.
Our final case involves possibly the rudest man we've ever come across on the series. Determined to get a payout on a dodgy claim for 3 mobile phones, he seemed to think that being unpleasant to his insurance company's call handlers would make the claim go his way. How wrong he was. Mobiles have revolutionised the way we live, work and communicate, with many people feeling lost if their phones aren't close by. As a consequence, some choose to take out insurance for their handsets, in case they go walkabout. When an insurer was contacted about a lost phone, it called on the services of Innovation Group, which helps companies handle claims.
The customer had taken out a policy online, they paid a deposit, and then 2 days later, we then received the claim, which was also reported online to us.
The fact that the claim came in 2 days after the policy had been taken out raised slight alarm bells.
We therefore carried out further investigations. This involved a telephone conversation with the customer. The customer said that they'd lost the phone whilst out at the park with his family. Now that isn't anything untoward, but he also confirmed that the phone had no SIM card in it and that he only used the phone to take photographs, and this was unusual.
Though this was odd, it wasn't enough to prove the claim wasn't genuine, so Simon requested the original purchase receipt, and when it came in, it seemed to be in order.
Whilst we had suspicions on this claim, we weren't actually able to confirm it. And therefore, on that basis, we did make a payment in respect to this first claim.
The customer received a payment of £700 for the lost phone.
So less than 3 weeks later, we then receive another claim. And apart from the name of the policy, all of the information was exactly the same. This was the date of birth, the address, the occupation, and all the same details, as well as the same type of policy, which was to cover the mobile phone.
This was clearly the same customer, and a pattern was starting to emerge.
The policy was taken out online, and 6 days later, we received a claim. The claim was also submitted online.
The claimant was asked to send in the original purchase receipt for this second claim.
We had a number of concerns with regard to the quality of the invoice that we received, and it certainly did not look as though it was an original purchase receipt that had come from a retail shop.
So Simon's team investigated.
So the inquiries we carried out was to try and telephone the company, and it was also to check with regard to Companies House in terms of whether the company actually existed. Our inquiries found that the telephone number was no longer in existence, and when we checked Companies House, the store was no longer open.
Not only that, but they found the store had closed in August 2018. Yet the invoice was dated October 2018, 3 months after the shop shut.
We wanted to challenge the customer with regard to the invoice and the purchase receipt that we'd received.
One of the specialist handlers put in a call.
Hello?
Hello, hi.
Yeah, I've been having trouble getting through to the shop that the phone was bought from. The number's not recognised.
Okay.
And also under the company house, we've checked for the current phone number and address, but it said that the company dissolved in 2015 and the actual shop closed in August 2018, 2 months before you bought it. Now, just wondering where you actually bought the phone from.
The company itself. Can you call the phone, the shop itself?
Yeah, I've called the shop itself, and there's no number recognised.
Yes, to be honest, I'm shocked because I just paid £600 for a phone.
But according to the...
Listen, at the end of the day, basically, I mean, you guys should be doing your job, right? And then you changed it, you know?
Well, I have chased it, and we found that the company doesn't exist.
You want
to speak to a manager?
Absolutely, yeah.
OK. Just one moment, please. I'll see if one's available.
The call with the specialist handler escalated, and he wanted to speak to a manager and make a complaint. At that stage, one of our team leaders took on the call.
Hi, I'm the team leader in the department.
Yeah, for social media, I'm going to actually, I've got this all recorded, okay?
You've got what, sorry, with social media?
I'm just recording this call.
You're recording the call, yeah? Yes, so do we, yeah.
We're both recording this call, and I'd like to put this on social media.
OK.
It was a rather odd and aggressive way to begin the call.
I suspect that the customer thought that if he pressured us and even threatened to put this information onto social media, that we would just back down and pay the claim.
So what should I do now? Should I just forget about it?
No, we have a duty to validate all the evidence that comes in to us. When we've done our checks, it has come up that that company is no longer trading from the address that you've provided. Now, if that's not the case and you're able to prove that, I believe that you're going to get a phone number for the office, is that right?
No, the phone number's on the invoice, I think when I click the phone, on the receipt, it should be on there. So you guys should do your own check.
See, the issue that we've got is this invoice is from the 10th of October. However, the doors closed to that shop in August 2018.
Well, no, I disagree. The first thing you should do, basically, is you should really inquire properly, see if the shop is still operating.
So we've done as many inquiries as we can.
You should carry your investigation properly. You need to send somebody down there to see if the shop's still open. I live, 10 miles away, right? And you're asking me to go down to see if the shop's still open.
Now, I don't run that business. I'm a client of yourself. I'm basically one of your clients.
You can leave it with us to review, and we will get back to you.
No,
I'm just telling you our position at the moment.
No. I'd rather put a complaint in a review as well. No, there's no chance that you're going to get away with it. No, there's no chance at all. There's no chance that you're going to pop me off.
I'm not popping you off.
I'll give you a look at it. Okay? Let's go down and give a complaint to the department. Let's go down that way.
You're more than entitled to what...
Now, okay? That's why.
If you continue to swear, I will disconnect the call.
Customers started to become irate and started swearing, and this is not the type of behaviour that we would expect from somebody putting forward a genuine claim.
Put me to the complaint. I need to put a complaint within your company.
Yeah, I can set that.
I have people taking money on my account, right, and then telling you this and that. I've got my house insured, right, just for the house itself, people understand. I've got my car insured, just in case it gets stolen. The companies like you sell, sorry, turns around and tries to wiggle out of something, and they're saying this and that, and then we're not going to replace anything. I think I should not even got involved.
Nobody is trying to wiggle out. All we're doing is presenting our findings to you to see if you have a explanation as to why the invoice that we've received is dated the 10th of October. However, the doors closed to that shop in August.
The telephone conversation was going nowhere between the customer and the team leader, and he had nothing further to offer. Based on all the circumstances, and the invoice that we were unhappy with lacked credibility because the shop was no longer in place, we were absolutely convinced that this was a fraudulent claim. The claim was declined, and we also voided the policy from inception and made the IFB aware of the circumstances.
That should have been the end of the matter.
A number of months passed, and yet, surprise, surprise, after that period, we receive another policy and another third claim in from the customer.
Yet again, all the details on the policy were the same, apart from the name. And the invoice that was provided gave a definite feeling of déjà vu.
To receive a third claim was farcical. The claim was immediately declined. Clearly, this was just a customer that was taking out policies and submitting multiple claims in an effort to try to get some of them paid.
Something he will have difficulty doing from now on, as he's been added to the fraud database to alert other insurers in the future.
So clearly, on this occasion, on behalf of Innovation Group, we were able to find the information to kick out the claim, and we will not tolerate any fraudulent activity.
Another shocking case of deception and a timely reminder that we all need to remain vigilant to the scourge of insurance fraud. From chancers exaggerating injury to criminal gangs engineering crashes for cash, these tricksters hit us all in the pocket. Every year, insurers lose millions to these scams, and it's you, the policyholder, who ends up paying the price in hikes to your premiums. But the sheer number of thieves caught in the act sends a clear message to anyone thinking about cheating the system. They claimed, but now they're shamed.